You know what time it is! You know what time it is! E-S-C-L-E-S-C-O!
And you know what underdogs is? It's a hungry dog.
And the second tick away, and the Eagles are alive! Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you! Let the celebration begin!
Welcome, everyone. I'm Ali. We're part of the Wingin It podcast. As always, I'm joined by Aleks and Andrew. This is episode 78. I really love Thursdays, not just because we get to talk with a cool guest, but it's also kind of a reset week, right? We've had a few weeks that have gone, kind of terribly our way when it comes to the Eagles. But again, as I said, Thursday is that reset day for me personally. It's kind of like a sort of a rebirth, if you will, of the week as we look forward to this next game. But
you're coping really hard, Ali.
I am coping really hard. As we always do on Thursdays, we have a special guest with us today. And as many of you always tune in to figure out who we have on, I'm personally excited for this particular guest because his story is unlike any I have frankly heard of. This is an individual who was a multi-sport athlete, decides that he wants to continue that sort of career in athletics, doesn't have a Division I football scholarship, so he walks on to Temple, gets a roster spot. And unfortunately, through, call it luck, call it misfortune at the time, but, sort of you don't know what's in store for you 10 years down the road, he got injured. And as many athletes, when they get injured in college, they choose to let sort of that event kind of define their lives, and they become successful entrepreneurs. They become successful business people, and they always talk about how they used to be college athletes. This man decided that he wanted sports to continue to be a part of his life. So he became one of the most renowned artists in Philadelphia sports. And I'm going to read this directly off of his website because frankly, it gave me chills the first time I read it. Today, he's a renowned artist commissioned by many professional athletes and top-tier companies in the sports industry, including Fanatics, Golden Auctions, and more. His work is a testament to the transcendent quality of art and sports. This is movement. This is passion. This is art with energy. Ladies and gentlemen, Aleks, Andrew, please help me in extending a warm Wingin' It welcome to Jordan Spector. How's it going, Jordan?
Those are real cheers, by the way. That was all of us actually cheering.
I think you might have missed it, but a tear was scrolling down my cheek there.
It's beautiful, Ali. Not a dry eye in the house.
So talk to me, man. What's new? What's going on in your life right now? I know there's we've got some stuff in store for this episode, but just wanted to get it directly off the top of your head. What's new? What's going on?
Yeah, man, just so many things to unpack from this year. It's been another incredible year for my art business, for what I'm doing, the journey that I'm on. And it's funny because every year I look back and I'm like, well, how can I top that next year? And it always seems to happen. It's incredible to me when I get to actually sit down and talk about it and think about it and reminisce and talk to you guys. So this is super enjoyable for me, especially after a long month that December is. I'm super grateful for how busy we really are, how busy I am, but it can be a lot. So it's good to start winding down and just be able to chop it up for a little bit.
So Jordan, as we're sitting here, you have this beautiful Brian Dawkins graphic sitting right next to you. Before we talk about that actual item, that card, which Ali and Aleks, I know have been just like, you guys have been talking about this card for weeks and how excited you are to open it. Do you do just Philly athletes with your art, or do you kind of branch, outside of that?
Yeah. So up until I'd say 2020, I was doing mainly just Philly sports stuff. That was my niche. That's what I enjoy. Still to this day, those are my teams. I'm an all 4 team guy. Eagles are number one for me. I'm a football guy, but I do love all my other Philly teams as well. But in 2020 is really actually when my business took a huge step. And I always felt the need to, okay, I got to start doing other stuff that isn't Philly. I just really didn't have the opportunity yet, or just like I didn't really take that leap of faith. And coincidentally, I had been following Joe Burrow's career at LSU that year. I just loved like all the things coming out about him, like him, his phone breaking, the coach wanting to get him a new phone. He's like, nah, I don't need it. I don't need a phone. Just stuff like that. It's like, who is this guy? So when he won it, there was this moment where after the game, he's sitting on a couch smoking a cigar, and man, like I've learned now to this day, like if you get X amount of people hitting you up to do something, you do it, because there's kind of this, if I had an actual chart to show you, it's like, hey, X amount of people ask about this artwork. This is how many people end up wanting it. It's just a trickle down effect. But I did this painting of Joe Burrow that ended up going viral in the Baton Rouge LSU sports market. And that led to me connecting with the Burrow family and the photographer who took the picture. And we created this collaboration where still to this day, we donate a portion of the prints we sell of that painting I did. And that led to me doing this whole kind of media tour down in the Baton Rouge area the next month on ESPN, a couple other big radio stations. And that was really my first taste of going outside of what I felt was my boundary. And just, my mind was blown. And this is right before COVID started. So I'm on top of the world, and then that happens. And a lot of people probably don't know this, but like 2020, if you had a website, if you had an e-com presence, that was the e-com boom. That was
going to be my
Christmas.
next question. When you said that things started taking off in 2020, was there a parallel with COVID and people being at home, and was that helpful for the business?
It was massive. It was a year long of just that. And then I was like, well, I did all these other pieces. I did a Michael Jordan one. I eventually did a Kobe one too. I couldn't do it after he passed away, but eventually I did one. And then I did all these other pieces that year too, that not a lot of them were Philly related, and the teams all kind of stunk that year anyway. So it was a huge turning point for me, taking that leap of faith and my business becoming much bigger. And it's kind of just continued ever since. I've never stopped. It's never stopped getting bigger or busier, or just more collaborations, more partnerships, more athletes. So
that's the goal.
Yeah. And I see you all over Instagram, all over Facebook. Your one photo on the road to victory. A few of the guys in our group chat have it. We said, hey, guess what? We're having the guy that painted that on the podcast. You're like, no way. So
Nice.
You're even making an impact, like even before the whole Brian Dawkins project and everything. Like I knew people have been buying it up. I want to go way back. So multi-sport athlete, go to Temple, get an injury. Talk to me about your art past. Has this been something that you've always done as a child? Have people always told you that you were talented at art? Is it something that you found? Talk to me about that background.
Yeah, so growing up, creating art was always a hobby of mine. I enjoyed doing it. As cliche as it sounds, ever since I could pick up a pencil, I was drawing. Back, when I was a kid, it was fire trucks or airplanes or whatever. I wanted to be a pilot when I was a kid. And I always did that. I always did it for fun. And it took time for me to start to realize, okay, like maybe I'm pretty good at this, whatever. Even in high school, my other passion was football. And I continued to do art even to the point where I took art classes just as an excuse to keep doing art. And never put it out there, and back then Instagram wasn't even around yet or just started. And I would have never thought back then I'm going to be an artist for a living. So I did it for fun. And it was actually funny because like my senior year, my teacher submitted some of my work into like some like the county art shows, like Montgomery County, and all of them got first place. There were like some watercolor paintings I did, some standstill paintings, or actually pastel drawings I did, just kind of like random stuff that like did really well in the show. So I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. You know, just a little nugget that would stay planted. Um, but yeah, I
Dude, you
still
got to hook that. You have to hook that art teacher up with like a free card or something. Like that could have been the actual like what started everything.
I know. Well, I will tell you a couple factors that started everything that come later, but I, you know, after football ended in high school, you know, I educationally decided to go to Temple. Actually, I another funny part of the story is I have a doctorate in physical therapy, if you could believe that.
Okay.
So that's my
Jeez.
educational route, and I continued all the way to get that full education. But leading into that, going to Temple, that first year, I didn't play football anymore. I said, you know, I'm going to focus on education when I have fun in school, whatever. And I quickly found myself missing football so much. And I met a couple of guys actually in the same building I lived in at Temple, J&H. You guys remember J&H?
Cafeteria. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
I lived
Smell
in...
like that place every time I left it.
It's a good smell. But I met a couple guys training to walk on to the team, to the football team. This is 2011, I want to say. And I met them and they're like, yeah, like you can walk onto the team. They do tryouts every year, all this stuff. And so I started training with them. One guy in particular who now to this day is one of my best friends. His name's Graham. And he was training with this guy who used to train like Larry Fitzgerald and all these like big time athletes up in the Lansdale, PA area. So for literally like 7 months, because I had to commute there from the city, I would take the train with him all the way up to Lansdale from the city. And it would be like ridiculous workouts, lifting, running, especially in the summertime. And I got in the best shape of my life, like ever. I was benching like 320. I was running hand time, 4.4s and 4.5s in the 40. Like I was a monster.
What position
And
what position were you trying to play?
I played running back in
Nice.
high school, and I got recruited by like smaller D1, D2 schools, but never like a D1 program. And I did like some visits to small schools, and I wasn't feeling it when I did that. But yeah, so that all happened. That progressed with the training, and the tryouts came 2012. And you literally show up, you run a 40-yard dash, you do different drills depending on your position, all this stuff. And it's funny because I crushed it, and a lot of it was like running routes, and I don't play receiver and I'm not a good receiver, but I just so happened to crush it that day. And so I made the team after that, like me and two other guys out of like the 50 guys that were trying out. And they put me at wide receiver that season, you know, like going into joining the team.
You're like, I can't catch.
Yeah, and I'm like, so eventually after that season, I switched to running back, and that was a transition period. That's when Steve Adazio was there his last year, who's, you know, a whole nother story in itself.
Didn't he came from like Florida or something, right?
Yeah, he was a part of that coaching staff with like Tim Tebow and all those heavy hitters. And then he came to Temple, was in and out in 2 years, went to Boston College. And then Matt Rule came back. So I was there when Matt Rule came. So I played with Hassan Reddick on the Eagles now. I played with Deion Dawkins and Tyler Medikevich, who play on the Bills. PJ Walker, he was like a couple years younger than me. Robbie Anderson.
So you were part of that nationally, because you guys were like number 25 in the country at one point. I remember when Temple went against Notre Dame, and it felt like the Super Bowl for Philadelphia at that time.
It was crazy, yeah. So we beat Penn State first time in like 60 years. We were ranked like I think 15 or 12 in the country. Played Notre Dame and almost beat them, but they beat us at the very last play.
What's his name? Will Fuller. Will Fuller.
Yep.
Yeah. And I remember Medikevich had like 5 sacks on Hackenberg that day at Penn State. But that was incredible season, incredible time. But eventually, and I didn't play much. I was a walk on. You really got to stick around long enough to be able to even see the field, unless unless you have a scholarship. So eventually, I got hurt, and that ended, which sucked. But coincidentally, that eventually led back to me doing the art, as you probably read or know. So what basically happened after that is, I still felt the drive or the passion for football. So it was like, how can I channel that energy for football? And actually, it's kind of random, but a friend of mine from high school that I lived with at the time, a couple other guys from high school as well, his mom's an artist, and she knew of my work growing up. And she said to me one day, she said, never waste your talent. You can't waste that talent.
Great advice.
And it was like that moment, like among other things already kind of spinning through my head, but that one statement really kind of like lit a light bulb in my head. I was like, you know what? So like the next day I started drawing again. I was like, man, I gotta start doing this again, just for fun. And I continued doing it, and eventually made an Instagram, started posting my work, and a lot of the guys that I became friends with on the team, like Medikevich, Dawkins, Hassan Reddick, all those guys, started doing work for them. And that was like my first exposure, them helping me get my work out there, and then people actually starting to pay me for my work. And that's when things like really took another turn on me. I was like, wow, like people will actually pay me to do this for my artwork. It was the most incredible thing to me, and it was the most rewarding thing too. You're creating something from scratch and somebody's paying you for that. So that was really the beginning of everything I do now. And that's it. I never looked back after that. I continued from that day. That's probably 2014, 2015. And I didn't really have a true LLC business till like 2017, 2018.
Yeah.
And mind you, I went to grad school and stuff for PT, and I continued to build the business while I was in school. And I told you about 2020. I think the other reason that happened is because earlier the year prior is when I was finally done school and jumped right into art, because I had some big job opportunities with PT, but the art coincidentally started to take off, and I was like, well, I got to make a decision. So, and here we are.
Sounds like an easy decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the Immortals. Let's talk about that project with Brian Dawkins. I'm excited to open this up here in a little bit. And it's funny when you think about like sports cards. So quick, are you a sports card collector? Like, do you kind of follow the markets and these breaks and chase cards and all of that?
So, I wasn't growing up really. I was more into Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh. I definitely collected a lot of nerdy stuff. I was a nerd.
Hey, watch it.
Legos, Star Wars, like whatever. But I really started getting into cards and understanding that market in like 2020, 2021. I started to notice like what Topps was doing for Topps 2020, Top 70, and I thought it was the coolest thing. And I also started to see like, that's when I discovered golden auctions and saw what they were doing. And, I saw things unfolding. And as you guys know too, that the space in general went crazy, just like crypto and other markets did.
Yeah.
So that was my first kind of exposure to it. And after seeing the Topps projects, like I kind of felt a little salty. I was like, oh, they never hit me up to do any projects. So
Yeah.
I was even more determined. I'm like, man, I gotta do my own trading card. So this has really been like 2 years in the making, this project. It's just when I first proposed it and started to pull it together, it wasn't really the right people involved to make it happen. And then, I think everything happens for a reason. I'm a big believer in that. And things finally worked out for this year, and everything aligned, the stars aligned, and things worked out to to finally do it this year. And I was finally ready to be able to pull it off and do it the right way, and had already built up until this point the relationship that I have with Brian. So yeah.
That's really cool, man. And there has to be like some sort of, like you said, like growing up, like if you were a nerd, then I was also a nerd. I mean, what I used to do when I was little, my neighbor would come over and we would just take heaps of notebook paper and we would create our own Pokemon cards, and we would get packs of gum just to not even chew the gum, but to have the foil and rip off the foil on top of the gum because it was tacky on the other side. We can make our own holographic cards, right? So I'm thinking about an artist that is making his own card. Like, is there like some internal childhood memory that you have, like going back to this and just saying like, hey, I used to be really into this and now I'm making that type of card today?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Reminiscing on, even like I said, those Yu-Gi-Oh! Pokemon cards, not the same subject matter, but definitely brought out the kind of the childhood aspirations.
The
and I feel
loudest
like
I've ever screamed was when I opened a pack of Pokemon cards and I got a holographic Charizard. I'm not kidding. I don't know how I was one of the chosen few to get it, but I screamed like probably louder than when we sacked Tom Brady in the Super Bowl and recovered the fumble.
That's saying a lot.
I have one too, but I had to trade the kitchen sink to get it, and that's the day I stopped collecting because I had nothing else to give. I got my Charizard. I sent it off to get graded. I have them all in my room, my childhood collection. But
you guys are such nerds. I was never into Pokemon.
Okay.
Sound jealous.
All right, Jordan, I got one last question before we need to tear into this. Like, I've had this card for a couple of days now. I already pulled it out of the cardboard box. I like started to like pull back the plastic. The plastic around it before Aleks told me just to put it to the side and not touch it again. So you said that, this kind of sort of manifested and started in 2015, 2016. I had an opportunity earlier today to basically go through all the way back to your first Instagram post, and kind of look at the evolution of your artwork and how it sort of got to that, that sort of fateful post that you posted in June of 2018 with you and Brian Dawkins with your piece of Dawkins there. Like, tell me about, because I also remember your post talking about how like your cousin was an inspiration to you, but also Brian Dawkins was a huge inspiration to you. Like, number one, what does that feel like, right? To know that you're putting in everything and seeing that type of work sort of pay off in that type of way, to where you're standing right next to a person that has had so much of an influence on your life, and kind of like sit back and reflecting like, holy crap, this is actually happening. What does that feel like?
Yeah, it's surreal sometimes, still to this day, especially where things have progressed now, like to today. The fact of how successful the card project was, but everything that led up to that, and everything that Brian did for the project, and everything he said about me on the radio, and for the stuff we put together for him. Like, it's one of those things where like somebody speaks for you, and they hype you up, hype the project up. Like, it's a good feeling. It's an amazing feeling, actually. So yeah, it's been surreal. It's probably the best word to describe it.
You're now the second guest that we've had in maybe like the last month that has, like a one-on-one relationship with Brian Dawkins, or has had an opportunity to chat with him in person. So we're basically just like, we're working through people, we're like this one-off. It's like we interview people who have interviewed Brian Dawkins, you know what I mean? But I remember, that guest specifically saying how, Brian said something to him like, you're doing what you're meant to be doing, and how like that really resonated with him. And it kind of sounds similar to, who you were talking about previously, where it just seemed like they saw your work for what it was, and they kind of gave you this reassurance that like you have a gift. And so, I just want to hear a little bit more like elaborating on just like what it felt like for just talking to Brian, and what, like, how impactful his words are.
Yeah, that sounds very accurate. No matter who you are, if you get that chance to sit down with him, like, he will inspire you, especially if you get to go to like one of his foundation events when he does a speech about why he started his Impact Foundation, what they're doing currently, what they have done, what his future outlook is on that. It's special. It's special. And to that point that you made, he definitely makes you feel like you're doing the right thing, like you are on the right path. He always tells me, and his favorite word is blessed, blessed by the best, and what he means by that is that everybody is blessed in their own way. You have your own path and you're meant to be on that path. It's for a good reason. So to be able to sit with him and chop it up, and even like the cards, back on November, a couple days prior to our release, I sat down with him to do all the autographs on the cards, and I didn't even release it yet, but we had a whole session of my own kind of podcast with him, a Q&A, talking about different things in life and football, the cards themselves. And he always has so much to say. He can be a quiet guy, but when he talks, people listen for a specific reason. He's the man.
It's captivating, man. It's captivating.
Love that guy.
All right, so Ali, let's start getting into this. So as we start ripping into these, what the Immortals card is, it's a $75 card. And Jordan, let me know if I'm misspeaking here. There's 2020 cards in the set, and out of 1,767 of them are a base card. And a base card is, when you think about in the era of like Pokemon cards or whatever, they're your circles, your base ones. These are the ones you're expecting to get. However, and this is what the sports card market does, and Jordan's really smart about this, is he included different parallels that you can also pull. So there's a gold rainbow foil parallel, a rainbow foil parallel, a green rainbow foil parallel, and then a 1-of-1 obsidian rainbow foil parallel. Has anyone claimed the 1-of-1? And what that means is there's only one of those in existence. Has anyone claimed that one yet, Jordan?
Since in a couple days from now he'll be putting it out there, yes, it has been claimed, it has been found, and I appreciate people reaching out and like saying, hey, guess what,
Yeah.
And ironically, he respectfully, and this is awesome too, he's like, hey, like, out of respect for you and the project, like, I'm gonna hold off on putting it out there because I'm gonna wait until it's like Christmas Day or whatever, but he actually.
Well, the podcast is coming out tonight, so so I guess it's out there now, Jordan. If you want, can clip it out, but
no, it's all good.
I guess Brian Dawkins.
Yeah, it was Brian. Yeah, imagine if he got that.
Yeah, actually, also, believe it or not, it was Brian Dawkins.
Can you believe that? And then also on some of these cards, you even have the opportunity to have a signature from Brian Dawkins himself, and some of these also with Jordan on there as well. So I'm pulling for the green parallel. I think that color scheme looks sweet. I actually have my own I don't want to say a Brian Dawkins shrine, but I have like a wall dedicated. I have like a signed football. I have posters from the game. I have cards that I've pulled, different merchandise and stuff that I've bought. So the second I saw this drop, regardless if you're going to accept the invite or not, I'm like, I'm getting this. And just you being on here makes this really cool. Love what you've done with it.
Oh, we're opening. Come on, Aleks, you got to tell me.
Okay. So on the camera here on YouTube, if you're checking this out, I'm also going to send some B-rolls. So the card comes in. You got Jordan Spector and Brian Dawkins' signature in this Weapon X Immortals box. It looks really sweet.
So sick.
Okay. And then there's a certificate of authenticity in here as well. Branded really nice. Wow. Very cool. All right. Opening it up. No way. I got the green parallel. I'm not joking here.
No way.
Yes, I did. Can you believe that? Holy crap.
No way.
Dude, I'm having my Charizard moment right now. So there's only 96 of these in the entire set.
We need to hear the Charizard
Are you going to scream
moment
after the episode? Or are you just going to let out a
Dude, this
giant...
is insane.
Wow.
So Jordan, one question I want to ask you is, I can't believe I got that. That is like mind blowing. Holy crap. Geez, wow.
I'm,
That's so
I'm waiting
cool.
for Ali to jump out of his seat. Let's see.
Which one did you get?
I think this is the rainbow foil, right?
You got Jalen Rager? Oh my God!
Jalen,
No.
You got the Jalen Rager card?
Rager.
It does look a little rainbowy.
I think this is the rainbow foil. On the back, it says
Yeah, it is.
2 of 96.
You guys both got parallels. You guys both got
Did you know
parallels.
that you knew that you were coming on here and you wanted this episode to be really special, didn't you?
Now,
Jordan?
listen, everything is randomized, so that is pretty funny.
Jordan said everything happens for a reason, you know?
Sick. This is sick. And
So-
I guarantee there's a really good resale value on this already for people that want after this. So this is now an investment.
Wow.
Jordan,
I love it.
This looks identical to a chase card that you would see. I mean, I couldn't tell a difference if Panini put this out or not. Like, talk to me a little bit about the manufacturing process. Is it similar? Are you using the same type of ink or let me, I want to learn a little bit about that.
Yeah, I learned a lot about that process and the do's and the don'ts, and just in general, the time that went into exploring the different capabilities out there. And what's really tricky is that there's a lot of personalities in the card manufacturing space, and there's a lot of big dogs in the space too that are doing a lot of volume. And when I'm coming in, I'm not doing a huge, like 2,000 is a lot for me, but 2,000 is nothing for some of these companies out there. So it's very hard to get what you want. So it took a lot of time to nail down not only a good manufacturer that works with Panini and some of these top companies, but that also, could do it the right way and be able to do it in a timely manner. So there was a lot that went into that. But yes, I can tell you for sure that the manufacturer, they do work for Panini and other big companies, and there's multiple manufacturers that do this stuff, and there's different ways of how the parallels are made, printing on foil board versus printing on plastic, and different ways that like a chrome, Bowman chrome is done on plastic, but
Okay.
those are done on a foil board paper.
Very cool.
And I like the look and feel of those better. And that technically is called a sand rainbow foil. Kind of has that extra like glistening to it, which I really thought was cool. And when you let sunlight hit it tomorrow, like you'll see it'll pop, like it looks crazy. But certain lighting can make it more dull.
Very cool.
You guys will
Yeah,
have to send me pics or videos when you get a better look at it.
Yeah, I'm gonna shoot something tonight. I mean, I can't believe I actually got this, and
And,
it's
and this
neat
is
too.
one thing that like has been like irking me, but like I see everybody posting it and showing it, and nobody takes it out of the plastic. The plastic's just there for when it ships, so it doesn't get rattled or scratched up or anything. But you can take it out of that unless you plan on shipping it somewhere.
I know, but I just I don't want to drop
You
it.
need,
I know.
where your, don't you guys have your special glove? You need special gloves or something.
And then also on the
Smudgeless.
back with this
Look at
one
that.
too, with
Look
the
at that.
parallel,
Look at that.
it's also numbered too on the back, 3 to 96.
So which number did you? 3 out of 96.
3 to 96.
I got 2 out of 96.
Yeah, so
Wow.
we both got parallels. That's ridiculously cool.
When did you guys? Okay,
I
yeah,
ordered the night we got it got released.
That's interesting. Okay.
Was this like not made yet?
No, it was definitely made. Everything was randomized and sorted a certain way. So I just think it's funny that you both got low numbers.
Ali did by his, I think, like 3 or 4 days after.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So what was crazy is the first day is when we sold a lot of cards. A lot of people had eyeballs on it. A lot of people came into the project, and everything kind of hit at once. So you guys ordered at very different times, considering that.
Yeah.
If it was
What's
a
the
couple days
quote
after.
on the inside of the box there, Alex?
Yeah, so I didn't even read that. I was so obsessed over the card. It says respect is not given. It's our doggone it with Brian Dawkins with
Doggone it.
gold embroidered gold
Yep.
text signature there.
And that was one of my favorite quotes of him growing up. So that's why I wanted to have that in there. And
so our intro to the podcast, it starts off with the Brian Dawkins quote.
Yeah.
And he gives a good doggone it.
Yeah, good doggone it in there.
Good doggone it.
Wow, really
What was
cool.
I remember, I think it was like Madden 2005 or 6, where they had like that intro where Brian Dawkins is like, "Can you feel it? That feeling in your doggone chest? Can you feel
that's the
that?"
best.
I'm like,
that's the best.
Need that game tomorrow.
All right. So, Jordan, amazing product. This is amazing. This is going to be such a nice showpiece in the basement. If you're on YouTube, make sure you check it out. I'm going to shoot some B-roll. I actually may wait tomorrow because I want to get some shots of it in the sunlight, just like he said with the sand type of foil on it. This is so incredibly sick. I feel super lucky to have it. Totally worth the $75. It is Christmas. Jordan is busy, but definitely place your orders before the holiday. All right, so let's talk a little bit about football.
That's
yeah,
what
we actually have a
talking
football
about.
podcast
Do
and
we
do stuff
have
here.
to?
I don't think we need to spend entirely too much time. I mean, here is kind of the skinny of everything. The Philadelphia Eagles are a 13.5-point favorite against the New
Good
York
God.
Giants. If
Good
the
God.
Eagles win out the next 3 games, they take the division and a potential number 2 seed. However, like I said on the episode earlier this week, the Philadelphia Eagles do not control their own destiny. So if the Lions win out, they will get the number 2 seed. Philly will not be number 2, not have any playoff advantage at home. And if the Lions lose a game and the Eagles win out, we can get the number 2 seed still. By the sounds of what we've seen on social media this week, you would think the Eagles aren't even going to make the playoffs. It's like doom and gloom. Everyone's crying. We're one of them.
That was also us. That was us on Monday when we recorded. I mean, I still feel it. I still don't feel great.
Yeah, but the people are just like absolutely giving up on the team. So Jordan, as our guest, hit us with what you think is going to happen on Monday, Christmas Day game. That'd be pretty fun. What are your plans for that game? What are you going to be doing on Christmas? And maybe give us a score prediction.
Yeah, I was actually debating going to that game. The weather's going to be really nice.
I'll be there.
Yeah, like mid-50s or something.
Yeah.
And my thing is every year, like I try to go to 2 to 3 games max. Because I love going to games, but at the same time, I don't see as much of the game when I'm there opposed to on TV. So I'll just be with family on that day. But we'll be watching.
That game is also guys, we had our first ticket giveaway on the for the podcast.
We did.
And our partnership with Kev Nichols and the Grace Project. Alex, you talked to our follower on Instagram. He seems super excited, right?
Yeah. So the funny thing, and really quick, sorry to cut you off there, Jordan. So his name is JT, and the way that you enter into the contest is every single time you commented and tagged an Eagles fan, you were automatically had an entry. That was actually a really bad idea because my phone would not stop buzzing. Like it just constantly went off.
Good for business.
JT only submitted 3 names. Like I could have easily said it's going to be between these 2 people. They make up 50% of the comments. JT only committed said 2 or 3 names. And when I messaged him, he's like, holy crap, I actually can't believe it. So he's really excited. I think he's going to be taking his son down to the stadium, if I remember our conversation correctly. But yeah, he was super amped and ready to go. So that was a fun little thing.
I guess you could say that his chances of winning were the same chances of both of you getting your parallels. So it's good karma that came your way.
Yeah, you guys must have bought like 50 cards or something like that. They're all sitting on your desk right now.
Yeah, actually, this closet behind me is actually full of
It's just full of Brian Dawkins cards.
I bought all 2,000 plus cards. It's just like
I will say, and if they just happen to be watching, I appreciate it. But we have had some people buy 10 to 20 cards, which is pretty amazing. And
Wow.
it's just such an awesome feeling that they wanted to be that much of a part of it, and they're chasing too, I would imagine. So I hope they got something good.
Like, I'm not buying Christmas cards this year. I'm just going to buy a bunch of these Dawkins cards, and I'm just going to send them to everybody.
Hey, that's how the sports card
Yeah.
market is, man. It gets pretty wild. All right, back to football. I literally, we could have done the whole podcast on just this. Honestly, it's that cool of a thing. Jordan, what do you think is
appreciate
going to happen during the game? Hit us with a score prediction.
I think we're going to be 31-17.
Mhm.
I think it's going to start out slow again, and I'm hoping they become that second half team that I know them to be, or play a solid game the whole time. But I do think they're going to win. They have to win, and I think that last game was like the biggest wake up call for them to fix a lot of stuff. And like, I hate seeing the stuff on social media too of people like actually giving up. Like it's all fun and games if like we're down, like whatever, like it sucks, but they have three games to figure it out. And 3 easy games, very easy games, at least I hope.
Yeah, with some pretty
But,
easy playoff opponents too. I mean, we're looking at the Rams and the Bucks right now. We've beat both of them, right?
Yeah.
Maybe not convincingly, but we've beaten both of them. All right,
Actually,
Andrew.
to be honest, the Bucks and the Rams games, if I remember correctly, were 2 of our, I think, 2 games that we actually like felt pretty good afterwards. A lot of the games this year we kind of just snuck by. Those games were like, we had a good second half and we actually like handled business. So anyway,
yeah,
to your
you know
point,
why? Because we ran the ball.
Yeah,
That's why.
because we
ran the
ran
ball.
the damn ball.
this foreign concept that just, yeah, I mean, again, DeAndre Swift, I think he had 18 carries last week. If they want to give 18 carries to Boston Scott this week, I'm also fine with that. However they want to include Boston Scott in the game plan is always a good omen against the Giants. But, Ali, I don't want to steal your thunder here too much, but just to give you some of the Giants ranks, they're 31st in points scored. They average 13.5 points a game. Like, come on. I know our defense is trash, but we got to be able to make some stops. They're 31st in total yards per game. They're dead last in pass yards per game. Like, this is the perfect time for our defense to just maybe build a little bit of confidence. So, I don't think there's much to overthink here. Like, you're going against Tommy DeVito, an inexperienced quarterback who, can make some things happen with his legs, I'm sure. But the Giants have a really crappy receiver core. I'm going to go Eagles 27, Giants 17. Yeah. Eagles 27, Giants 17. Back in the win column.
Cool. Yeah, I think I think some of those stats may be a little bit inflated because they had Tommy DeVito kind of figuring it out, and it does look like he's sort of hit his stride. But I think the Tommy DeVito, the lore of Tommy DeVito and who he's going to be, is nothing special. I think he had a few good games. He showed off a little bit. The thing with his super Italian agent is freaking hilarious with the fedora.
Yeah, I actually like. I think it's awesome. I just wish he was on the Giants.
Yeah, that's so funny. Yo, that'd be hilarious if we saw him at the link. You need to hit him up. Do a card collab with
Give him some
with
gabagool.
Yeah. But with all that being said, is Saquon playing? Is he hurt again? I don't even know. What's the status on Saquon right now? He's playing, right?
Yeah, but our run defense is about the only thing we have going for us anyway.
Yeah. So, well, I don't know, man. Walker ran all over us, walked all over us. I mean, I would just say stop Saquon. You know it's coming. Stop those screens to Saquon that they usually do. Their receivers are middle of the road. I think it's going to be a fine game. Kind of like echoing Jordan on this. I think we have to put up a lot of points. I think Nick is going to play pedal to the metal and just like, hey, we need to get this back on track. It is a must-win game. I will say if we lose any one of the next 3 games, like that's just not going to be good for the mental health. It's not going to be good for the podcast. It's not going to be good for anything. So with that being said, I'm going to say Eagles 31, Giants 15.
5 field goals.
Score. Yeah, maybe field goals or one of those weird 2-point conversions that don't convert or whatever. So All right, Ali.
Yeah, so Drew, you mentioned a lot of the stats as far as where they are in yards per game and points per game.
I missed
really
one. I missed an important one that I hope you say.
Third down conversions. They're 31st in the NFL. We're 32nd in stopping teams on third down.
We met our match.
This is
so bad.
when they say like this is where an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. This is like when a stoppable force meets a movable like the opposite of that, right? Like this is like a team that doesn't want to convert on third down versus a team that lets everyone convert on third down. And I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to be there watching for it because I freaking love the Philadelphia Eagles. Their touchdowns per game is 30th in the league. For me, when I look at this game, it's really trying to understand what kind of player Tommy DeVito is, what kind of quarterback he is. Everyone's kind of like riding the train. It's because like this is kind of the best that New York can do with what they have, and frankly, they didn't have much before Daniel Jones went down. Anyway, his on target throws are 75.8%, which is fairly low in the NFL. Normally, you'd see the average quarterback has like mid 80s in the percentage of on target throws. And his bad throw percentage, which is actually one of the worst in the league among active quarterbacks right now, is 12.4%. So I don't necessarily see Tommy DeVito as the guy who can light us up, especially because I did see a lot of promise out of our secondary, sans James Bradbury last week. But I saw a lot of promise coming out of the rookies, specifically with Keely Ringo. I liked what I saw out of him. Is Slay back in this game? I think Slay is back. Right, so I think this is frankly a bounce back game for us. This is a stepping stone game.
is open, practice window open too, so he'll be back there.
Yep. So I'm excited. Hopefully Avonte Maddox is back playoff time, because we're definitely gonna need him. I think this is a get right game. This is a stepping stone game for us on our way to going down to play Jonathan Gannon and the Arizona Cardinals. I hate to say this, I've been really, really bullish on the Eagles all season. And when it comes to opponents where I know we should completely stomp them, we've come up a little sort of lethargic. But I truly do think this is going to be our get right game. I've got Philadelphia 42 and New York 6. I don't think they're going to score a touchdown in this game.
Wow.
I love
Alrighty then.
Ali is all business. He's not his mouth. He's like he's not smiling.
I think we're going to see Ali on the sideline.
Look at all these notes right here. I did my homework.
Look at all these notes right here. Look at all of them.
You get it,
man. Tortellini.
All right, Andrew, explain swinging it, and then yeah.
Swinging it.
Yeah.
Underdog picks for the week.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm Andrew to explain swinging it, and yeah. Let's do it. Let's swing for the fences, everyone. So how does this game work? All four of us are going to pick an underdog, and if that team wins outright this weekend, we will be rewarded the number of points that team is receiving in the spread. So it's a very simple concept. We do have a little bit of a change to the ranking. So Ali still sitting at the top or standing at the top, whatever you prefer. You got 34 on the year. Right below that, the audience, who Jordan will be representing today, at 25.5. So right around 10 points. Aleks and I are now tied. So I've been chilling at the bottom, and
Don't get cocky, Drew. Don't get cocky.
Not cocky. It's just it feels good. It just feels good.
Aleks leading at one point, and now he's I just
weren't the Eagles looking like they were Super Bowl contender number 1, and now they look like Dookie. So
hey.
I know. So anyway, Aleks and I both have 17.5. We're going to do what we always do and give the honors over to Jordan, who's representing the audience. So, Jordan, who do you have for your underdog pick of the week?
And this is just winning outright?
Yep, winning outright.
Yep. I was trying to look some stuff up at the games coming up.
It's never an easy decision.
And this would be like a team that's considered an underdog, like not the Phillies beating the Giants.
Yeah, whichever team is receiving points. Yep.
I'm gonna have to go Bengals.
I like it.
Bengals over the Steelers.
Yeah.
Are the Bengals under? I think they're
No.
favorites.
Yeah, actually, the Steelers are underdogs in that game. So if you're receiving points, so plus 2.5, those are going to be.
Well, then I'm not picking that.
Yeah.
You get the pick right, and then you end up losing points for the audience.
All right. Let's go with. I don't know about that.
You can take as long as you want, just don't take mine. That's all I'm asking.
Okay.
Why is it plus? I never understood why the underdogs.
Because you're receiving points.
Because yeah.
You're adding it. Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. Intuitively, it just doesn't make sense.
So
Well, because when you think underdog, you think negative, minus. So I think that's what can cause some confusion.
Yeah.
So the Patriots at the Broncos, the Patriots are the underdogs.
Yes, the Patriots, they are a 7-point underdog.
I'll take the Pats.
That's one of the better spreads this week because a lot of the games this week are around like 2 or 3 points. So that's a smart move going with the Patriots, who, if they win, you'll get 7 points for the audience. You'll be creeping pretty close to Ali, depending on who he picks. So now, Alex, at this point, between you and I, since we're tied, I mean, I guess
God,
because I'm just saying because I've spent so much more time at the bottom. You know, I guess I still have first dibs here. Is that how this works?
No, I do. I got first dibs because
He's so
your
ashamed.
attitude.
He's throwing a hissy fit, and he wants.
My
to
man
go
just
first.
got like the rarest card in America, and it's just not enough. It's not enough.
All right, go, Andrew, go, because I doubt we have the same one.
I'm taking the Baltimore Ravens to beat
Damn
the
it!
49ers.
Wow, the same one.
So
We do
here,
have-
and
Yeah,
it's a
go.
simple reason. I think everybody has Brock Purdy right now as the MVP, and I really hope that this is just like Lamar being like, hey, guys, don't forget about me. I know that I'm not Dak Prescott or any of these NFC dudes, but like we're taking care of business over here. So I'm wondering if Lamar, if the Baltimore Ravens win, does he cement the MVP this year? But we'll see. I don't know. It's going to be tough in San Francisco. It's going to be Christmas night. Anything can happen. I need a Christmas miracle. Give me the Ravens.
Yeah, there's a lot of really close games this week, so it's actually gonna be a really exciting lineup. Even like right now, what's the score? It's 7-17 against the Rams. Okay, so it's not really that good, but there are a lot of like close game windows, so it's not very good for swinging it. Anyway, give me the Arizona Cardinals over the Chicago Bears. Justin Fields just can't catch a break. The team can't catch a break. Hail Marys falling into their laps, doing what they need to do. They're just like a cursed franchise. The Justin Fields hype is dying down. So let's see if Kyler can pull something out here. Plus 4.5.
Sweet. Yeah, that's an interesting pick with the Ravens. I don't think the Ravens are going to be able to pull this one out just because I don't feel like it's a must win for them in the sort of like legitimacy of the AFC kind of deal. Anyway, give me the Dallas Cowboys at the Miami Dolphins.
Ugh, you're actually picking Dallas. Awful.
Yeah.
I don't even know you anymore, Ali.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right, Jordan. So we have a small tradition that we do. Our guest sends us home. So just closing remarks. It's episode 78. Can be as long or as short as you want it to be, but go for it, man.
Yeah, well, appreciate you guys having me on. All I can think about is the Eagles winning on Monday, but they're going to win, and we're going to keep winning and make it to the playoffs as the second seed and get back on track.
Let's do it.
Speak it into existence.
And respect is not given, it is earned, doggone it.
Doggone it.
Perfect way to end it.
That's all I got.